This is the final word. Australia-Pakistan Daily, day 4 and final from the MCG. Jeff Lemon, Adam Collins. Show's brought to you by Cbus Super. You can tell us, Adam, in the space of 30 seconds, why this match has finished.
All right, Australia lost the 4 wickets they had remaining in their second innings relatively briskly this morning. They ended up bowled out for 262, setting Pakistan 317 for a most unlikely victory. And it remained that way when they lost a wicket before lunch and one after that. But then Babar Azam found his way into form somehow. I say somehow, it was a risky business initially, with Shan Masood, who was batting like an absolute dream until Pat Cummins brought himself back into the attack. Third ball back, gets rid of Shan Masood, caught it second slip, great catch from Smith. Feels again like it's game off for Pakistan. But after tea, Rizwan batting with Salman. They just get him closer and closer, and suddenly they're going at 5 or 6 and over. And you're thinking this might be special. But then Australia take 5 for 18, including the extra half an hour, and they win the game on night 4 instead. Pat Cummins 10 for 97 match figs.
Remarkable at times. It was never entirely on. It was always like, if this keeps going for another 30 or 40 minutes, it might be on, or another 30 or 40 runs. There's the point where Rizwan and Salman get it under triple figures. They get it into the 90s in terms of runs required to win. And that's where, even at that point, I'm thinking, one of these two gets out, which they will at some point, then the rest of them are not very good, and they're not going to put on 80 together. They might put on 30 together. I thought Pakistan's last 4 might be able to put on 30 or 40 to get there. So if it gets that close, then potentially it's on. But there was a possibility of it being on. The fact that it might be on was on. You know what I mean?
It was just a little bit short of being on.
Yeah.
But equally, I was a believer.
Yeah.
And maybe I was a believer.
You always are.
And I acknowledge that maybe I was a believer because I wanted it to happen. You know, I wanted the close finish. I wanted the 1982 3-run result, or winning by 1 wicket, or whatever. I wanted something like that to cap a brilliant 2023. And it didn't quite happen. And again, it was Cummins, wasn't it? The wicket of Rizwan, which we may as well get to pretty early here. Took him about 5 minutes on DRS. Richard Illingworth put in such a tough spot to determine whether that ball hit the wristband of the glove or not. It was deceptive because the bruise on Rizwan's arm was in a different spot, and like you go through the hotspot technology. And I know there was a large commotion with the Australian group when Sticko went up. I mean, we all kind of knew there was something.
Yeah, we all knew it had hit something.
That
didn't
something.
matter.
That wasn't.
But I think it was the original hotspot bit that they were going up for as well, wasn't it? Because there was a kind of smudge, there was a smear of contact.
I might be wrong here, and again, I was looking through the prism of I want a close finish. I'm Barrack and Villian in journalistic terms. I thought that smudge was kind of there before the ball got there. I felt like the colour didn't change. I don't know. It was all happening very quickly.
Yeah.
It's one of those where if anyone gives you too strong an opinion, disregard it. There's loads of grey area.
Right.
This could have gone either way.
Kind of grey, black, white, lots of it was. It's hotspot, so it's all in that negative photo frame thing, and it's hard to tell. You're like, hang on, but what colour is his arm normally on that? Because that's a kind of greyish, paler colour, and like the arm guard is a darker colour, but that's on the front arm. But this is hitting on the back arm.
We've got Doug Bollinger's fake hair standing out as much as it did on this technology in 2009. And if we're talking about sending manned missions to Mars, I think at some stage we can develop sufficient technology to know whether the balls touch the glove in that situation.
I've only just realised the reason the hair would have been showing up is it must have been because it was kind of polyester or something and absorbing the heat of the sun and thus radiating. How hot was it sitting on top of the head? It must have been, like wearing a fucking Bain Marie up there or something, just bubbling away, keeping the pasta sauce warm. Incredible resilience to be able to walk around with that on top of your scone and not go down just with heat stroke generally. But was it
going bald gracefully? I'm going to put a Bain Marie on me bonds.
Whatever it takes on the sash. Now, look.
There's one for our England listeners who won't have a fucking clue what you're on about.
No, will not.
But enough people live in Melbourne.
That's fine. Some people do. Some people live here. As you can see, it's a nice day today. It was sunny. It was good. Look, I thought it probably got a bit of the wristband, but who cares what I think? I don't know. But the one problem I did have with it was it was given not out on the field, and my understanding is the third umpire is supposed to overturn on conclusive evidence, and I didn't think it was conclusive.
Again,
so I thought, but also if
we've reached that point where that stopped being a thing, and I'm not saying it shouldn't be a thing, just to be absolutely clear here, but I think we've hit the stage where, a little bit like with soft signal, they got rid of soft signal because they didn't want that to pollute, inform, determine what the technology was going to get to.
Yep.
So I agree. My instinct, everything fibre of my being is it conclusive enough to overturn it? But in practice, third umpires are now
making a new decision.
Making a brand new decision. And on this case, it was enough for Illingworth to go on the balance of probability. That's ball on, wristband of glove, therefore Rizwan's gone. And he was, clearly devastated. We've spoken about Rizwan during the week being a theatrical type. The innings reflected that. There were so many little mini moments with him today where I reflected back on our conversation from a couple of evenings ago. But yeah, I was deflated because it was only a partnership. You look back at it, they put on 57. They didn't put on 157, but it was the way they did it. It was the way that after Salmon got whacked on the helmet, you're thinking he's going to be a walking wicket from here. He batted so bravely. The way he got in line with the next ball
and just slid it down to deep third for four.
I was on comms like that takes real guts. I mean, I'm not saying it's a good thing that he was getting into trouble the way that he did from a safety perspective the ball before. Why isn't he wearing the clips on the back of his helmet? These types of things immediately come to mind. But having gotten through that lengthy process with the physio to get behind one, the next over as well got behind one and steered another, and that seemingly flicked a switch in both of them that they were going to really hunt down these runs. And
put pressure back on by scoring quickly. Exactly. I think that was the key thing. And because Australia were so dangerous at times, it was like, well, stop them being as dangerous. They went after Nathan Lyon with absolute purpose today. Didn't take a wicket, got belted around at about 4.8 and over.
Unusual for Lyon in the fourth innings, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think I looked at it the other day when we were writing about his 500th. I think he's taken wickets in 29 wins in the fourth innings across his career, which is a lot. He's contributed at the end of games a lot, and I know there are the famous times when he's bowled in the fourth innings and they haven't won games, and that's happened as well. That's all part of the story, right? But he bowled so well in his first innings here as well. Like he seemed like he would be the key in the fourth. So they went after him deliberately. It was just enough to keep Australia a little bit shaken at times, that they weren't entirely confident they had the game on their terms.
Look, if those two are still batting together, we don't know what would have happened next. Rizwan might have lost his middle stump next ball. The way that Pat Cummins was bowling and the way that he used himself, the Midas touch he applied with every bowling change, with him anyway, across the 4 days of the Test match or the 3 days where Australia bowled. I don't want to say that would have changed everything, but I can easily imagine a scenario where, I referenced 82 a few times today, we're coming back with 37 to win tomorrow.
Well, also
their lead. Like Pakistan in 2016 up at Brisbane, where they came back with about 80 to win. Like, those were the scenarios that I was pondering and thinking, how bloody good would have that been?
And maybe they bat through to stumps and they don't take the extra half hour. But then I think...
they couldn't have had they been 5 down.
Well, that's what I'm saying, But it had, if those wickets don't fall, because they're 7 down, the 7th wicket falls 2 minutes before stumps and the umpires decide to take the extra, and it works. Australia get the 3, even though Aga Salman at that point is basically trying to get the runs in the extra half hour himself, because why not? And fair play to him, made 50 off 60-odd balls, counter-attacked towards the end. The last 4 in Pakistan's lineup, 0 between them, 0, 0, 0 and 0 not out. So that was effective. That worked really well.
The wickets fell at 219, 219, 237, 237, 237, and the supplementary numbers are.
But I mean, you dial it back. A lot of it comes back to the Hazelwood delivery to Babar Azam as well. Got that grassy green strip. Decked it back in. It was almost the same one that Cummins bowled to Babar Azam in the first innings.
Pretty stiff. He's had 2 balls jagged back like that. The second time in Test cricket he's been bowled twice in the same match. Robinson bowled him twice last year in Pakistan. But that's taken 2 balls that have jagged. I'm not saying it was all due to the pitch. It's fine bowling, but still the point stands that he's bowled through the gate twice, and just when it felt like he was kind of hitting himself back into some rhythm, he wasn't batting conservatively. He was trying to hit the ball really hard, and I think he picked up on the energy of Shah Massood. Shah Massood, who has talked the talk, and we said 2 nights ago that we really hope that he keeps playing with that spirit of trying to score quickly, of trying to drag the team with him to a better place. I know they lose today, but the example he set today before getting out to Cummins, albeit at a crucial time, might just help with that. In a year's time, the sad reality is that Pakistan only play 9 more Test matches after next week in the rest of the World Test Championship cycle through the middle of 2025. It's ridiculous. All these fucking 2 Test match series, they're not series. And
coincidences.
And that's the shame of the WTC. It's a brilliant thing, but allowing teams to only play twice in a air quote series means that most sides are only playing 2 Test matches against Pakistan. That bit's not working, right? So in order, where Ben Stokes and Brendan McCullum had so much Test cricket to groove their new way of doing things before a high-profile series against Australia, followed by another one against India, Pakistan will play 9 test matches in the next 18 months. They're not going to have the muscle memory, the lived experience of doing it time and time again. I feel for them.
Yeah, and it was frustrating. This was a frustrating test match because they fought bloody hard. They were really good. They were in it up until the last hour, all through. After that first day, we were like, okay, that's a reasonable first day for Pakistan.
Yep.
They do well on the second day. They hold Australia back. Then they rock them with the ball. Then they let them get away again. The drop catch is dropping Warner in the first innings. It doesn't help. Had they got him early, who knows? Dropping Marsh in the second innings, obviously a lot easier to trace the lines of what happens after that. At 50 plus extras with the ball in the first innings.
Stands out, doesn't it? 52 extras now when you consider the margin of victory, 79. I know they don't add up quite, but it does feel like that is one area where Pakistan have a lot of room to improve.
Yeah, I think it was 20 byes and 15 wides.
And a lot of the
in
byes
that
weren't
first
byes, by
innings.
the way. It's just the reluctance to call wides on balls that bounced over his ones.
Yeah, there were a lot of bouncing over the head ones. Australia had a bunch of those as well.
Yep.
Gave quite a lot of those away, but it just always felt like Australia were too dangerous. And Cummins particularly, 5 in each innings, 10 for the match. And he just has this ability to bring himself back on and strike, and does it with the ball pitched up, with that sort of length delivery. The classic Shan Masood, getting caught at slip is Shan Masood. The Pakistani James Vince loves it, loves nicking one there.
Great catch.
Looks so good as well, like you said, really, stands up tall, played the pull shot really nicely and so on.
But made room for himself, drove down the ground, drove through cover, chipped through mid-wicket. Like, he was class today. He didn't do a thing wrong until the point where he probably didn't get far enough across to play that ball. That's the one mistake he's made, and that's the beauty of Cummins. You make one small mistake and there's a decent chance he's going to get you out.
And the fact that Cummins can do that, quality operator at that length, and then to the lower order can drop the length back and can monster them, and he did. The way that those balls were taking off, the last 4 wickets pretty much are out to being gloved up in the air. Well, there was South Shaquille as well with the little uppercut that he nicked. That was off Stark, wasn't it?
That was bad batting. I thought Shaquille's shot was the wrong time to try and do something nifty. Like, it was more
I think it was just instinct. He just saw that length and went, that's what I'm supposed to do to it.
So he's been out to the short ball a couple of times now, might be in his head. Just on Cummins, like a few bits and pieces. One, when he went around the wicket to change his angle to Imam Al-Haq, a couple of balls after doing that, blows his pad off and does it 2 balls after that. First one goes Pakistan's way, and they don't review, and it's exactly the same ball in terms of the projection, maybe a centimetre difference, but the decision went with Australia on the field and thus was upheld and umpires called. But he'd started over the wicket in that spell and was beating the bat consistently, realised I want to change it up before I'm too knackered to keep bowling, gets the wicket. Second spell to Shan Masood, starts around the wicket. Something different to think about, having bowled so well to him over the wicket. I reckon, and by the way, in doing that, went beyond Richie Benaud's 248, which was the gold standard in Australian Test cricket for a long time. Past 250 today with, I think, his 3rd wicket. Captaincy, when we talk about Cummins in 2023, so much of it is going to be about his leadership and what he's done marshalling this Australian side and getting them to where they've gotten to, World Test champions, etc. But Cummins, the fast bowler for a sec, he loves playing on the MCG. If they were picking a greatest Australian 11, I know they did one for the team of the century in 2000. If you were starting afresh and picking the Australian team to play Mars in a one-off test match, Dennis Lilly's probably in there, Glenn McGrath's probably in there, and Pat Cummins is probably in there edging out Ray Lindwall. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And that, to me, is the
and
sign
to
of
be honest, Mars is shithouse. They don't want it. Mars don't want it. We want it. We want it.
They don't fucking want it enough. Not as much as we wanted the result today. We were barracking for that. But no, I know there'll be competing views on this with fictional teams. There always are. But yeah, the Cummins spot in Australian fast bowling history. If you're picking 3, I do think we've reached that point where Cummins is in that group. It's just where he ends up now. And he missed so much Test cricket. He's only 30, might play till he's 35, might not take 500 Test wickets the way that McGrath did. But I think that
he might take 355.
He might take 355, and I think he'll be seen the same way, I suppose, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
And the captaincy adds to it. The fact that he's such a fucking good leader, and they love him. They play for him. It was an inspired choice. I know the way he became captain wasn't what they wanted. He probably wasn't who they wanted to become captain either after Tim Payne. Ideally, he would have done it for a bit longer and a batter took over after him. But that's broken beautifully for Australian cricket.
Who called it first? We did, 2017. Pat Cummins for captain. We were right. Not right about everything. We're right about that. Hall of Fame?
Why don't we do the final word, Hall of Fame, which is brought to you, as always, by Cbus. Super. Established in 1984. We're so close to celebrating their 40th birthday. They invest in industries by investing in sustainable long-term projects. Cbus Property Developments actively invest in the industries that are important to their members. Kind of like the same idea we were saying yesterday about fees. Fees are kept low in keeping with the idea that they are trying to deliver for their members every single day.
Yep.
These wonderful returns, 8.99% on average across the 39-year span in their
Bradman-esque.
default account. It is Bradman-esque. We saw the Pakistani squash player today.
Jahangir Khan.
Jahangir Khan, who's the Bradman of squash.
He was.
We saw, this might be Hall of Fame worthy actually, cbussuper.com.au, past performance on a reliable indicator of future performance. He was being fanboyed by Wazim Akram and Waqar Younis.
Yep, and then Shahid Afridi, who wanted in as well. Yeah, you don't often see people who get fanboyed by others all the time doing the fanboying, but they were pretty excited. I think, what did he win, like 600 games and lost 2 or something like that?
Crazy numbers.
Crazy record. Go and look him up, Jahangir Khan.
We
what a
had
legend.
Shahid in our commentary for a bit, joined me, and, didn't say anything particularly revelatory.
Sure.
He was very excited to be back in Melbourne, I can tell you that much.
Hall of Fame for that was, I can't remember who it was, but on our Discord someone captioned that photo, Bang Bang meets Boom Boom.
I think that was Thomas Miles. I did enjoy that. I saw Thomas before with his... he's heading off to the Big Bash. That won't surprise you to learn, having finished the Test match today.
Not at all.
Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame, I've got one. Why? Okay, you can get out of the wristband, as Mohammed Wristband did today. Now, for most players, that might happen a few times in a career if you play for long enough. It might probably happen more than once. Why are wristbands so fat? Why do they go so far up the arm? His wristbands were almost up to his elbow. His wristbands were like 6 inches long. Why can't someone develop better elastic and have smaller wristbands?
And they used to be, remember the way
marginal
the gloves
gains. Dave Brailsford.
Yeah.
It's like weird packages getting sent to places. If that package contains skinny wristbands, you're not out.
Well, a few things here. Look at Bradman's gloves. They stopped pretty much where whatever these bones are.
Yeah.
They didn't go all the way up his wrist. It's good enough for Don fucking Bradman. It's good enough for you.
He made a few.
But on that, you can actually have the wristband.
What are your wrists cold?
Leaving a slither above the glove, because if the wristband isn't connected to the glove, the leg bone connected to my wristwatch. If it's not connected to the wristwatch, as it were, then you won't be Mr. McCreg with a leg for an arm and an arm for a leg, and you won't get given out because there'll be a gap there.
Isn't it like? Is it electricity? Like if you have a sweatband that then is touching the glove, does the sweatband become part of the glove?
It does.
But what about the arm guard? Because that sometimes touches the glove, and players don't get it given out caught off the
I
arm
know
guard.
the sweatbands that are connected to the gloves are part of the bat and all the rest.
No, but like the one, if it's not connected, if it's like a Curtly Ambrose one.
I know what you're saying. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure if they're touching the glove.
Right. So you need a gap, and you need to like put fluorescent zinc or something on your skin so it shows up on hotspot that there's a gap there.
There's more to be done on this. So I keep coming back to this show I've been watching, For All Mankind. They do all sorts of amazing shit on that show. Mars they're in my head right now. They just landed in Mars in the episode that I watched last night.
All right.
I've got one. How about Australia bowling their first over of the fourth innings today, and on the scoreboard them being -1 on over rates? That takes some doing to get 1 over down after 1.
Haven't even bowled one yet.
And in the third over, they were down by 2.
Yeah.
I don't know how they did it.
No.
I don't know how they pulled it off. I don't know how it was calculated, more to the point.
Right.
Today's a day where we talked about the application of technology and the rigid application of it.
Yeah.
And that was clearly being rigidly applied. I don't know.
I had another Hall of Fame. I can't remember what it was, so that's not a very good story. It was It was wardrobe related as well. There was the wristband and there was something else.
I've got lots of things written down, but you know what, Jeff?
It's fine.
It's fine. cbussuper.com.au. We could not be happier to be in association with them throughout the course of this year. Check out what they do. We love them for it. Check out what we do at patreon.com/The Final Word. The next episode in your feed will be a story time we recorded before Christmas. Quantum Leap Sliders, Parallel Universes. So that's in there for December 30. December 31, you're going to get our New Year's show, which includes our review of 2023, our best of, worst of, which we do every year. It's a feature. It's an annual thing. It's a tradition.
It's a tradition.
It's a tradition. And I suppose that's it from us from the MCG. Our 1 week of the G. Each year. We've enjoyed it immensely. Thank you to everybody here. 2 more quick ones on the way through. To Ross, who works at the Australian Sports Museum, one of our patrons, Ross River, I think you dubbed him when his number came up a while ago. He looked after my family, unbeknownst to him that it was my family, in the museum today. Peggy's first ever day at the MCG, not Winnie's first rodeo, but he looked after them wonderfully. And Jill at Gate 3, who always looks after the media coming in. She wasn't there day 1, day 2. Saw her at the lifts this morning saying, I'm back on your gate this morning. It was wonderful to see her. She makes our lived experience at the G that much better.
She is the heartbeat of the MCG. Love you, Jill.
All right, Final Word, Daily, out from the G. See ya at Sydney.
Bye.
Bye.